So this was it. Our new home in Wisconsin for who knows how long. I mean, it wasn't as fancy as our place in New Jersey was, but considering it was surrounded by cows, I didn't really expect much. The house was a fairly average 2-story building with a garage and small yard out front that would be perfect for a dog to play in.
Guys, the new hang!
My mom joked as my dad and I grabbed some of our smaller bags to bring in.
Vanessa, make sure to unpack before going to bed tonight. Most of the furniture is going to get here tomorrow, but get all the boxes to the right rooms and open.
I desperately wanted to check out the house, but my phone privileges might get revoked if I don't help out. We brought most of the stuff into the foyer, and my parents released me. They told me that my bedroom was the first on the left upstairs. I opened the brown wooden door, and with a quiet creak, my new asylum from everything was unveiled. It was a fairly basic room of an average size, wooden floorboards with scratches all along from the previous owners moving their furniture out. I dropped the box containing my music on the floor, and a large plume of dust erupted in my face, making me cough. A large bay window jutted out from the back wall with a sunlit window seat underneath it. I could picture my new life here, but had a hard time imagining it without my old friends, Alice and Elise. I didn't know how I was going to make more friends here, but I hoped that I did, or else junior year would really suck. I fondly remembered back when we had just moved to this cow town. It had been a long day at school today, and I had forgotten my lunch in the fridge. Again. Each Tuesday I met with Miss Lanson, the school counselor, to see how I was getting along in the new school. I appreciated the thought, but it was slightly alienating to be walking in a different direction than everyone else after lunch while they were all going to class. But it wasn't like I had any friends to walk to class with, so it didn't really make a big difference. After another long meeting, I was exhausted. I didn't really want to join a club, but Miss Lanson seemed so excited about it, I might as well give it a shot. She had given me a list of clubs I might be interested in earlier, and I could already see that there's some interesting choices on here. Did people really spend almost an hour of their day in bovine management club? Ugh, people here really are passionate about their farm animals. I'm glad I didn't tell Miss Lanson about my aversion from cows. I scanned the list, desperate for one to pop out that didn't seem too torturous. There was one at the bottom that was half cut off by the terrible printers at the school. As I wandered to Miss Lanson's office, I heard the bell ring and realized that everyone else was already in class, but I didn't really care if I distracted them. I opened the door to Miss Lanson's office and heard the hinges squeak. "Hi," I greeted her as she looked up from her work. "I was wondering what this was that got cut off on this list. Can you check the online copy to see what it is?"
Of course, Vanessa,
she exclaimed.
Let me pull that up for you. I'm so glad that you're finally starting to immerse yourself in our community.
She slowly searched through her computer files, typing one finger at a time in a way that was both infuriating but also mildly therapeutic.
Here it is. The class you are looking for is called Students for Common Health of Animals, or SCHA. Most students will know what you're talking about if you just say Animal Club. Do you want me to enroll you?
"That would be great, Miss Lanson. Thank you," I replied.
No problem, Vanessa. I hope to see you soon.
She waved me goodbye, seeming to have nothing better to do than usher me out the door. I started out the door, but quickly doubled back to ask if there was anything else she wanted to talk about, as I didn't have anything to do for the next 40 minutes. There wasn't, so I just went to the library to get a start on homework. When the time finally came to approach the room where SCHA was held, I was shaking slightly. I normally wasn't very nervous when meeting new people, but with this, it was different. I couldn't really pinpoint it, but I could tell by the general atmosphere of the people going into the room that it couldn't be that bad. I cautiously opened the door and cringed slightly as I saw 7 faces looking directly at me. One student who seemed to hold herself higher and looked to be in a position of leadership stood up and spoke first. A girl that couldn't be older than 15 stood up and folded her arms together in a way that reminded me of a cat getting ready to pounce.
"Hi, and like you might have just heard, I'm Annabelle, but they all call me Belle,"
she said, gesturing to the group slumped on a variety of colored beanbags.
"I like history and reading, and I also have a pet cat named Phil."
I felt slightly intimidated by her strong presence, despite her petite frame. I hoped she would open up a little, as everyone else looked older than me, and that was more threatening than however much she may scorn me, even despite her age. The rest of the clump stood up one at a time and told me their name and something about themselves. I quickly realized that most of these people had really sweet-sounding pets or volunteered at an animal shelter or helped out on a farm. While I wasn't too keen on the last idea, I wished I still had my little cedar so I could introduce her to these people and show them pictures on my phone, and they would gush over her and beg me to let them come to my house to see her. Unfortunately, though, this was not the case. Once the last person, Blaze, who had a retired greyhound that he ran with, had finished, Irene looked at me expectantly. Oh, I have to talk now? Okay, I babbled. My name is Vanessa, but my old friends called me Nessie, like the Loch Ness Monster. I had a Cocker Spaniel mix in New Jersey who was just the sweetest. Her name was Cedar, I continued, a little choked up. I really want another little puppy, but my mom says it's too much work with the new job and moving, and it makes me so mad. Honestly, sometimes my parents are so annoying. Whatever. Anyway, sorry. Also, fun fact, my birthday is in 3 weeks, so I'll be turning 17. Irene directed us back to the gathering of beanbags, and everyone seemed to have already claimed one, leaving a dark evergreen beanbag for me right in between Belle and Irene. I settled into their ongoing conversation about trying to get more students invested in the local animal shelter. I wondered if my mom would let me volunteer there on weekends. She had never really been insistent on me getting a job, but I know she would love it if I did more than just sit around and whine about school all weekend. I spoke up quietly. I would love to do some work there. My mom's going to go crazy if I don't leave the house. That earned a laugh and some comments from the group about their parents having similar habits. Belle wrote down the address and phone number of the shelter so I could talk to them about volunteering there before Saturday.
Watch out,
She warned in a whisper as she handed me the paper.
if you mess with my friends or my dogs, I will make sure the rest of high school is your worst nightmare.
The rest of the period went by in a flash, especially with that threat looming over me. When the bell rang and its harsh tone was gone, Belle approached me.
I volunteer on Saturday from 10 to 1. I can carpool with you if you want to do it at the same time. If you want, we could also go get lunch after.
Her slightly disappointed tone and self-assurance slightly spooked me, but I still wanted this opportunity. This was a good group of people, and no little bully could keep me away from my one true passion. I'll ask my mom, but I almost know she'll say yes. She might be getting sick of me, so maybe if I'm gone, she'll chill a little more for those 3 hours, I joked. We exchanged phone numbers so she could text me, and I waved goodbye to... I slowly walked toward the parking lot where my silver Prius was parked and sat in the hot driver's seat that had absorbed the last of the summer heat, digesting all that had just happened. I turned the key in the ignition and drove home, and when hearing my favorite song come on the radio, turning it up and singing along unabashedly. That Saturday, I had just finished getting ready in my clothes that I didn't mind messing up a little when my phone pinged. Belle was outside in her mom's car. I quickly unlocked my phone and let her know that I would be out in a minute. I grabbed a jacket and my small bag and jumped downstairs. I hopped in the back seat and said a quick hello to Belle's mom, Sandra, and waved to Belle, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, leaving me to sit in the back seat in silence while Belle texted on her phone. We arrived at the modest-looking animal shelter and went to check in at the front. All I could see from here was a door that I assumed led to where all the animals were kept.
Ah, yes. Hi, Belle.
The receptionist smiled as we walked up to the small wooden desk.
Hi, I'm Nancy. Who's this you brought today?
She shook my hand and I introduced myself as Vanessa and told her that I went to school with Belle. I was so excited to work with all the animals and maybe convince my mom that we could get another dog. We walked to the back where all the animals were kept in small kennels, and Nancy gave me a safety lecture and made me sign some forms while Belle signed in and got to work feeding and giving water to the animals. I could smell a strong presence of wet dog and felt at ease. According to Nancy, my first job was to clean out the dog blankets and pillows. This entailed getting out clean ones, getting the dirty ones, and putting them in one of the few washing machines the shelter had, as well as almost bathing in the smell of wet dog mixed with bleach. Slightly less calming, but still tolerable. About halfway through this tedious work, I stumbled across a tiny chocolate-colored dog sleeping in one of the blanket piles. "What are you doing, little puppy?" I whispered to it. I picked it up with a blanket still snuggled around it and brought it over to Belle. I asked her what to do with it, and she recommended to give it to Nancy to put it in one of the indoor kennels where all the other dogs were staying during this cold winter.
Oh, this is Ginger Snap. She's always escaping from wherever we put her. I'm not sure if the other dogs like her.
Nancy answered when I brought the puppy over to her.
Just bring her to the kennels and put her in the one with her name on it. Maybe give her an extra blanket, though.
I desperately wanted to take Ginger Snap home, but I knew I would have to wait. Sadly, at 1 o'clock, Belle and I had to leave. We went to go get lunch at a little cafe not far from the shelter, and we talked about all the poor little animals we had seen and how we just wanted to take them all home. We made conversation about school, but then my phone buzzed. The lock screen showed a text from my mom that read, "Hey Nessie, when are you getting home? I can come pick you up. Also, let me know if you want to have a birthday party this year. Love, Mom." I put my phone down and turned my attention back to Belle. "Sorry, my mom wants me home," I explained. I waved goodbye as I walked out the door. She apathetically waved goodbye, and I frowned slightly at the fact that she had already been beaten down by high school. My mom was waiting outside, beaming, as if she was the one who just spent a good part of the morning surrounded by the most precious thing on earth, dogs.
How was it, Nessie?
She questioned. I knew she was excited that I was finally making friends, but she really didn't need to be so clingy about all of it. It was fine, Mom, I replied. Suddenly, I wanted to tell her all about it. Actually, it was great. We got to see all these really cute dogs, and there was this really little one named Ginger Snap. She was the most precious thing. I wish we could have her. Mama opened her mouth as if to say something, but was interrupted by the loud honk of a pickup truck behind us.
Jeez, the people around here have some real serious road rage.
My mom remarked as she switched lanes to get away from the crazy pickup driver. We turned onto our street and parked on the driveway. As I got out of the car, I remember what my mom had asked me earlier. Can I have a birthday party in 2 weeks? I have some great friends now, and I think it would be really fun, I inquired. I was pretty sure she would say yes, but I didn't really want her to be mad at me, considering what a good mood she was already in.
Of course! I was going to ask you, actually, but you beat me to it. What day? Do you want it at the house?
She asked excitedly. I wondered if she had been so anxious that I didn't have any friends that she had gone insane. I answered all her questions that I wanted it on a Saturday in the afternoon, and I definitely wanted it at the house. This town didn't really have anywhere interesting to go. On Monday, I went back to room 512 and found the same faces there. I said hi to everyone and went to sit down next to Irene in the same green beanbag. This group seemed to be almost timeless and washed away my worries. It was almost like this was my reality now, just sitting on this chair and talking. The focus today was how we could get people to sign up to volunteer. We decided on posters. We were all pretty artistic, so Irene decided that we could spend the next week making them in pairs or trios. Irene teamed up and decided to make the focus of our posters Ginger Snap. Maybe people will see the little puppy and just be magically drawn to the shelter by the force of puppy eyes, I joked. We laughed and kept working for the rest of the period. It always seemed like time in this little room flew by so fast, even though I tried to stretch it out as long as possible. The daily walk back to our cars began again, and I walked away from school yet again. I got in my car and my phone buzzed loudly. It was my mom. The text read, "Hi Nessie, I hope you had a great day at school today. I was wondering if I could come to the animal shelter with you this week. I really want to meet that Ginger Snap you've been raving about. I can also drive you and your friend." I immediately texted Belle to let her know that my mom could drive us this coming week instead of her mom. She replied saying that would be great, and she would see me tomorrow. I could barely detect her usual disdainful tone that usually came through loud and clear in her messages. I could tell she didn't hate me as much as she had back when I first joined the club, but the threat was still prominent. We arrived at the animal shelter that Saturday, having already visited once that week to take pictures of the animals for the posters, so I knew the dogs would be confused. I immediately went to the back to find my favorite little puppy, Ginger Snap. She was sitting in her kennel and greedily chowing down on some food. I opened her kennel and picked her up, cooing at her. I had forgotten my mom was there, and she asked, "Is this Ginger Snap? She's so precious!" I almost rolled my eyes. Of course she was precious. She was a little puppy. I continued with my duties, my mom now in tow. She helped out and almost sarcastically remarked, "You know, you're getting so good at this, it might be good practice to wash some clothes at home, too." She and Nancy had a good laugh at that one, but I stubbornly continued working, and when we finished, Belle, my mom, and I all went to the small cafe that we visited last time. Once our chatter had died down, my mom asked Belle if she was coming to my birthday party the next week. "No," Belle replied. "Vanessa hasn't told me about a party." I quickly reassured her that I hadn't told anyone about the party and invited her. She accepted and kindly gave me the phone numbers of the rest of the members of the club so that I could invite them as well. I made a mental note to text them once I got home and to save their numbers into my contacts. I soon realized that that was not necessary. I arrived at the club on Monday, having forgotten all about the party. I soon remembered when Belle came over with the freshly printed posters of Ginger Snap, and I recalled talking with her about it on Saturday. I turned to the rest of the club. "Hey guys, do you all want to come over to my house next Sunday to have a small party for my birthday? I can text you guys the address." Everyone was eager to accept the invitation and started speaking in hushed voices about what they were going to get me. Belle was the only one to stay by me and keep working. "What?" she asked me when she saw me looking at her. "I already know what I'm getting you. You're so predictable. I know exactly what you want." I was surprised to hear this. Belle had seemed so detached, not like she was analyzing my every move. Once the day of the party arrived, my mom and I were both in a tizzy. My dad had resigned himself to his office, saying jokingly that teenagers were loud and would disrupt the careful wall he had built up between himself and the rambunctious youths. I disagreed, and thought it would do him some good to socialize with some people who didn't qualify for a senior citizen's discount. Nevertheless, he did not relent and closed his door once he gathered some chips and a can of root beer. My mom was the complete opposite and was flitting around, a busy worker bee just constantly stringing streamers and adding more balloons to the mess already crowding the upper third of every room. My friends all arrived bearing gifts, which they set on a table covered with a teal checkered table runner. Since we moved here, my mom had really gotten into the style. I would call it old-fashioned farmhouse chic. While other people generally had actual farms and ranches, my mom really just wanted to get all the cute cow-themed decor. Belle got there late, saying that her present was here already. Someone else had brought it for her. The party rolled on. We played games like pin the brand on the cow. My mom hung a piñata on a tree in the backyard, and we cut the cake. As my mom sliced the cake and scooped the French vanilla ice cream, I looked up at the sky above the picnic table in our backyard. It was shimmering with the light of 1,000 other universes. After all, that's all there is out there. Suddenly, my dad walked out with a small box. It had a large aquamarine bow on top and not much other wrapping. I was curious as to what it was, as I assumed I had already opened all the presents. Then I heard a small yip. It sounded like it was coming from the box. It also sounded like a dog. A very specific dog I knew. "Ginger Snap?" I exclaimed as the box flew open to reveal my little sweetie. "Mom, how did you do this?" I inquired. Then I saw Belle with a guilty smile on her face. "Is this the surprise, Belle? This is too much. I love you so much." This was the best thing ever. I took Ginger Snap in my arms and gave her a big kiss on the nose. She smiled up to me, panting, as if to say, I knew sitting in that box would get me somewhere. I sat her down on the grass and looked back at my friends and family. "Thank you so much. I was missing Cedar so much, and this is just so amazing." I teared up slightly, and my mom came over to surround me in a giant hug that smelled like a mix of freshly bathed dog and my mom's familiar shampoo. I released her and walked over to Belle, almost lifting her up with the force of my gratitude. We giggled and went back to eat more cake. It was chocolate, my favorite. I bit into it and was surprised to taste the slightest hint of mint, bringing me back to the last time I ate a box of Girl Scout cookies with Cedar sitting beside me. But now I had a new companion to sit by me. Actually, scratch that. I had one new dog and 7 amazing new friends to support me through the rest of this puzzling journey we call life. Or high school.